Beginner's Guide to CB Radio, Video 5, SWR and Tuning the Antenna.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Paul, Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform, or 26 Charlie Tango 730 if you catch me on 11 metres and PMR 446, or because this is the Beginner's Guide to CB Radio, you can just call me the Red Squirrel. So, we've got a radio here, Thunderbolt T800, with an aerial connected to it. I will just swing it round so you can just see the aerial there. That's the same aerial I connected it to in the last video. Now we've connected that aerial, we can't just simply pick up the microphone and transmit and carry on regardless. Unfortunately, got to tune the antenna, or the aerial, whichever terminology you want to use. And to do that, we have to make it longer or shorter depending on what the SWR reading is on a meter like this. SWR stands for standing wave ratio. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. It is a very complicated subject. So, normally what you would do is you would put the radio to roughly the centre of where you want to be. So if you're just using the UK channels, UK channel 20 would suffice. And then you take a reading by setting that switch to forward, transmitting and seeing where that needle stops. And if it stops before the end, you would turn the calibration knob until it lands on the set at the end there. I'm not sure how well you can see that because this meter is quite old and the red section of the display is faded. Now the red section is quite important because when you switch that to reflected and then transmit again, if the needle stops anywhere in there, that means your aerial isn't tuned properly. And there could be various reasons for that. It could be that whatever metal's underneath isn't enough, or it could be the aerial's far too long or far too short. So if it's far too short, there isn't really a lot you can do unless you undo the grub screw and see if there's any amount you can adjust it by. But the adjustments are usually very tiny and will make a big difference. So on this aerial, I will bring it into shot actually, so you can see. To tune that, there is, on this piece here, I'll have to bring it off there actually. You can see there's a small grub screw in there, which allows you to adjust it up and down. However, if that's not enough, you would have to cut a bit off the top. I have actually cut a little bit off the top of that one. So that was for when I was using it in the car. Now, there are other methods of tuning it as well, apart from moving the whip section up and down. There's a grub screw in this for exactly the same reason, but this also has these dialer match rings on it, which allow you to tune the aerial in and out. So you have to unlock them and then turn them both down together and then lock them together and then obviously take a reading. So let's go back to that meter. It's on top of the radio there. I don't have an aerial up outside at the moment, so I can't actually do a live demonstration here at the bench. I can, however, do a live demonstration down in the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a meter, this meter, in fact, because this meter is a basic meter and they're available under various different brands. It doesn't matter what brand is on them, they all do the same thing and it will give you a rough idea of what your aerial is actually doing and how it's actually tuned. So I'll pause the video and you will next see me down in the car. Okay, so I'm actually down in the car now and you can see I've got the meter balanced on top of the CB radio. I'm not sure if you can see that, it is on channel 20 UK. So at the moment the meter is set in the forward mode, so what should happen when I press the transmitter should go all the way over to where it says set. From my eyes it has done that, so that's fine. So if I put this to reflected, we're looking for anything preferably outside of the red, but also below 2 if we can. And we get just that. So if we go to channel 40, just to check there as well, because it's advised to check at the end. So first thing I need to do is transmit, see if that goes onto the set mark. From my angle it does look like it's slightly over. I'm going to have to adjust this without transmitting. Now it's slightly under. Yeah, now it's okay. And again, as you can see, it's still under the 2, but it's a little bit on the high side. So there's other things can interfere with it as well. It's not just the tuning of the aerial. I tuned it in free space in a place where I knew there'd be nothing around. So that's how that's tuned. So if I go to channel 1, do the same again. Set the meter back to forward. Check it's on the set mark. To me it looks like it's a tiny bit up. A little bit more. So I'm having to do this one-handed because I'm holding the camera with one hand. And that's good. Okay. And that one's a little bit lower. So that works fine on the UK channels. Now, this radio is capable of the European channels as well in both AM and FM. This is a Thunderpole T3000. This is my trusted radio for use in the car. I'm going to turn the squelch all the way, just get rid of that, because that's just a bit of noise. I'm not sure where that's coming from. So we're going to check the EU band. So we'll go to channel 20 on the EU band and see if we've got all of the EU band. So there's the EU band. We're on channel 20. Exposure unlocked. Whoops. See if I can get. Yeah. So I've just lost my exposure point, so I'm going to bring it into the meter a bit closer. That's one of the curses of filming in the lock the exposure at that, so you can see the meter quite clearly. Not sure it's focused on the meter. Should be now. So we're on EU channel 20. The meter is in the forward position. If I look at that meter, I'm going to have to look around the camera. Need to turn that back a little. Okay. It's on the set mark from here. So, parked outside my house, that's perfectly fine. So, this aerial was designed for the European channels anyway. It's a little bit high on the UK ones, because the aerial itself was made in Italy. Yeah, I've had to put that back to where I should have. It says channel 1 now. Yeah. As you can see, it's close to the bottom there. So again, switch to forward. I have to move that a bit further. Now, I used to have problems with this this meter, and this calibration knob would jump about, but I put some switch cleaner in it, and that's fixed it because of the age of it. So you get one of these second-hand off eBay, and which is perfectly fine. You can do that, and you find that this control knob doesn't work. A can of Serviceol Super 10 is all you need to fix that. So again, we're on channel 40, so we're about to double check that's on the set. It is. And again, it's all fine. So I can use that aerial across all 80 channels, no problem at all, whilst I'm mobile. Things around you, there's a fence there, there's also a metal rotary washing line, and I think the building itself may also be causing some problems, I don't know. And, you know, it's all good. It works. It's not going to fry my radio. It's a bit hot in here, though, so that might cause problems, but that's to be expected. So I'm going to turn that off now because I don't need that on. And I'm going to head back up to the shack to finish the video. and also demonstrate how you actually connect one of these, because that's the bit I haven't done yet. So I'll pause the video and I will return shortly. Okay, so back in the shack now. Now, obviously the one thing I didn't show you was actually how to connect one of these. So first thing I need to do is turn the radio off. Now, and the next thing I need to do is disconnect the aerial. This is important. And then what I need to do is put the aerial cable just to one side for the moment, and then bring in the meter, which has two connections on it. XMTR goes to the radio, and ANT goes to the aerial antenna, whatever you want to call it. So this connection goes in where the aerial would otherwise normally go. So that's now connected to this radio. The other side would go onto an aerial. But what I'm going to do, rather than use that actual aerial, because it's quite close to me and that would have some safety implications, which I will explain in the legalities video, because there is a little bit on safety covered in that as well. I'm going to connect this device, which is called a dummy load. Effectively, it's like a fake aerial, except it acts like a perfect aerial, except it's not actually transmitting anything out. It just gets turned into heat inside. That's all that does. So it's now connected. So next thing I need to do is plug a microphone in, because I haven't on this radio. The microphone might already be plugged into your radio, so this is just for this video because I haven't got a microphone on this radio. And then switch the radio on. That's come up on channel 20, which is what we want. So now it's connected. You go through the process. Transmit. Turn the calibration knob here. Still a little jumpy on this, but it's not as jumpy as it once was. And then flick the switch. And that gives you your SWR reading. So again, I'll repeat that process. Although I demonstrated it live in the car, it's worth repeating again. Now that's all connected. Transmit using the button on the side of the microphone. Adjust that to where it needs to be. Flick the switch. And that gives you your reading. That's all you have to do. Now, I wouldn't recommend keeping that connected in line unless you absolutely have a reason to. It was in old guidance for CB radio that once you were finished with this, you would take it out to minimize the chances of any interference. That'll be covered in the legalities video in the next video, I believe that one is. So I do actually have a list of videos, and I'm just trying to remember which one is which. So I'll just have to double check which video it is. Because okay, so I believe it's the next video. It certainly is the next video. So with the aerial, if it needs to be made longer or shorter, there's the grub screw on it or tuning rings on it. Base station aerials, that will be slightly different. There will be an adjustment on those. On my boomerang antenna, it's effectively using grub screw on the top section and a nut and bolt arrangement on the bottom section. That's all there is for tuning that. On handhelds, the tuning doesn't need to usually be done because the aerials for handhelds are usually already tuned and there's usually matching within the handheld anyway. A good example would be inside that realistic TRC 1007. So SWR, very important that you get it right, otherwise it could cause damage to the radio, which actually, as it turns out, is not covered under the radio's warranty, and you would be charged for a repair. So just bear that in mind. So it's important. I won't explain what SWR is. It is very, very, very technical and in-depth. This is a video for the beginner, and you just need to know that you need to check the SWR isn't above 3, basically. That's why there's a bit marked red, because if it's anywhere in that red, it's bad news. So these have to have enough metal underneath. These are magnetic based aerials. So there's the magnetic base and there's the aerial. So any aerial like that for a car has to have sufficient metal, or what's termed as ground plane, underneath. That's basically acting as the other half of the aerial. The aerial itself is essentially one half. I won't explain that either because that's also quite technical. So, hope that was informative. I do have a video somewhere on SWR. I don't know if I actually uploaded it or not. If I have, I'll probably pop a link to it on the top of this one here. So, anyway, 10-10 till we do it again, or as they say in the amateur radio world, 7-3 for now. So, I'll catch you in the next one.